Good evening and welcome to this virtual candidate forum. My name is Ravine Jimenez and I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Benton and Franklin counties. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that does not support or oppose candidates. In presenting these candidate forums, it is our goal to provide opportunities for voters to become better informed about the people who are running for public office. Tonight's forum has been pre-recorded in conjunction with the City of Richland. After tonight, it will also be available for viewing through the League's Facebook page, the Badger Club website, YouTube, and WPV.org, as well as the City of Richland website. The races we are featuring in our primary forums are the ones where 3 or more candidates have filed to run. Tonight, we will be hearing from the candidates who are seeking positions on the Richland City Council, positions 1 and 2, and Richland School Director 1. These are all nonpartisan positions. At this time, I would like to introduce Tracy Dial, who will be our moderator this evening. As a popular KNDU news anchor, Tracy Dial is a familiar face in the Tri-Cities. Tracy is a Northwest native who received her bachelor's degree in communication arts at Lewis Clark State College in Lewiston, Idaho. She also began her career there, working on both radio and television, and even making some local commercials. Luckily for us, Tracy made her way to Washington wine country in 2012. She is the 2021 People's Choice Award winner, an honor she has won several times. And now let's welcome Tracy.
Thank you all for joining us tonight to be a part of this candidate forum. We are going to begin with the rules for tonight. So we'll be following these for this entire forum. Each candidate is going to be given 1 minute for opening statements, and this will be followed by questions for the candidate. All candidates in the same race will be asked the same questions, and everyone will be given the opportunity to go first. We'll follow that up with a closing argument segment. Each of you will get 1 minute for that as well. And a chime is going to ring when there are 15 seconds left in your speaking portion. You do not have to wrap up abruptly, but please do try to wrap up that time. So now, please let me introduce you to the candidates in the race for Richland School Board Director number 1. They are in order of which they will appear on the ballot: Audra Bird, Danica Garcia, and Heather Cleary. Thank you all for coming tonight. So let's turn to opening statements. Ms. Bird, your opening statement first.
All right, good evening. Thank you so much for having me on here. My name is Audra Bird and I am running for Richland School Board Position 1. I am a mother and foster mother of 6+ children. I have 5 children at home, 1 that lives in heaven, and multiple children that I love and care for throughout the Tri-Cities. Before I was a stay-at-home mom, I was a certified K-12 teacher in the Richland School District, and I absolutely love working with education. One of the reasons why I'm running for the Richland School Board is because I want to give families voice and choice. This last year, we had over 1,000 students leave Richland School District at one point because their needs were not being heard. I also really want to give families more school choice. I really want to help build our special ed department, our English language learning department, and our mental health resources. I also strongly advocate for our alternative learning environments, including Three Rivers HomeLink, Civic Crest Online Academy, the Quest program, and I really want to bring in more technical program offerings. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. Ms. Garcia, your opening statement, please.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us this evening. My name is Danica Garcia, and I would like to be your next Richland School Board Director, position number 1. I am a bilingual educator, a proud mother of 2 children attending school here in the Richland School District, and an active Richland School District volunteer. So I'm running in this election cycle because I believe that we need to make sure that in our public education, we are doing our very ultimate best to prepare our students for colleges and careers, make sure that they're ready. And I believe strongly in the value of public education as a tool to do that. I want to make sure that all our children here in Richland have an education that is high quality, just, and prepares them for their colleges and careers with no exceptions. All our students from Richland deserve a bright future. And as board directors, we must make sure that we have the resources to thrive in their schools. So as your next board director, I'm committed to doing what's best for all of Richland students.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Ms. Cleary.
Good evening. My name is Heather Cleary, and I've been a member of the Richland School Board for the last 16 years. During my tenure, there are a long list of accomplishments such as implementation of full-day kindergarten district-wide, lowering K-3 class sizes, expansion of our early learning program, working to close student achievement gaps, and construction of 15 schools and 13 other facilities. The past year has been filled with challenges, but through it all, our board has supported what's best for students. As we look forward to this fall, we are focused on getting our students back into school full-time, engaged with learning, and connecting with the activities they love. The Richland School Board has accomplished many great things, and if I am reelected, we will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cleary. Now for questions and answers. Ms. Bird, you will go first. First question tonight, how well do you think the school district handled COVID, and what might be done differently if we're ever faced with another pandemic?
Thank you. I think our biggest concern with COVID this last year was our lack of communication to our families in the district. I am a mother of children that attend our schools in this district, and so many other people that I know that attend our school district schools have been really unhappy with the communication. Obviously, like I already said, 1,000 students left the school district this last year at one point because their needs were not being heard. Multiple families and parents attended school board meetings, whether it was on Zoom or in person, and asked for different resources to be met, and their needs were continually ignored and turned away. If you attend a school board meeting, most of the time, if a parent stands up and gives their thoughts, the only response from that school board is next, your time's done, next. And it's been super frustrating as a parent to feel like you're not being heard. If I am on the school board, I want to give families that voice. And if they come to a school board meeting, I will listen. And then even if I don't have an answer at that point, I will say, thank you for your time. I will give you an answer by this date and in this way. And I think it could really improve communication wise. I also think communication needs to be better at going out to the community. There was one school board meeting that parents called in. School was supposed to resume full time on Monday, and it was a few days before, and parents didn't know when buses were coming. They didn't know when school was supposed to start. A lot of parents were really frustrated because no communication was going out from the school board either. And so if I am
Thank you, Ms. Bird. I know we did not hear a chime. I'm quite sure we're past the minute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Cleary, you are up next.
So some question about how did we handle COVID? Okay. I think we did a good job, the best that we could. There was a lot of unexpected things to deal with. Things were constantly changing, the requirements from the health department, the governor. It was a constant change of flux. We had constant changing number of cases. We had to be within certain ranges of so many cases per 100,000. And it really spiked up in November, December, and January until the vaccine became widely available. And then as those numbers dropped, we were able to get kids back in school. We had to develop protocols. We called in hired a third party contractor to come in to make sure we were following the correct protocols of cleaning and disinfecting. There was just a lot of problem solving that had to be done, and I think the district did a good job. I'd also like to add, we didn't lose 1,000 students. That number is incorrect. We had more in the neighborhood of the high 400s, and most of them were kindergarten students who chose to put off school for a year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cleary. Ms. Garcia.
Well, first of all, I think this past period that we've all gone through was tough. I think it was tough on families. It was tough on teachers. It was tough on administrators. It's tough on students from top to bottom. Here we are with an education system that's 100 years old, and on a dime, we're being asked to ask our teachers to reinvent it, as administrators trying to figure out how to do it, and as parents try to figure out how to navigate it. So I think that as we look at this, we need to stop and make sure we're looking with eyes of compassion and heart, and gratitude also to all of those who worked so hard to make sure that our children were learning and did get an education. That said, it was a pandemic and it was difficult, and learning gaps that existed before were exacerbated, for a certain populace of students because of what had to occur. I think it's important to note that we must follow school regulations, and that we must need to make sure we look at our emergency management plans to make sure that we have a plan in place if and when we have to face this again in the future.
Ms. Garcia, thank you. Quite the talent speaking so quickly at the end there. All right, Ms. Garcia, you will go first on question number 2. The subject of critical race theory has been on the national scene lately. According to the June 21st editorial in the Tri-City Herald, it says, quote, contrary to a surge of misinformation online, there is no new law requiring Washington State public schools to adopt a controversial critical race theory curriculum, end quote. A state law approved last April does require a professional training day for school district staff that focuses on topics like diversity, equity, and inclusion with the intent of creating a sense of belonging for students. What are your thoughts regarding this new training requirement for teachers?
Well, first of all, paid professional development for teachers, administrators, and staff is always important. One of the key principles as an educator is reflective practice. So this means we need to look at what we're doing and how we can improve it. So when we think about the important factors we can have in schools, one of our most is making students feel welcome. So it makes sense to have students to have training which can further enhance all students being included. The bottom line is that students need to feel safe and included in our schools for them to thrive academically. We must put as much effort into supporting our students' mental health and social emotional well-being as we do to protect their physical safety through efforts like background checks and lockdown drills in our schools. So the practice of student safety at school must not end, however, though, with just training. We need to also make sure that our students have sufficient counselors. We need to strengthen our anti-bullying programs and improving accessibility of confidential reporting and support clubs for peer-to-peer support so that all students feel welcome and included. And our kids are our most precious resource, and education is our future. So doesn't it make sense that we give the teachers all the resources and the students the ways to support them the best possible?
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Ms. Cleary, you're up next.
Okay. That editorial in the Herald was very accurate information. There has been a widespread amount of things out on Facebook and social media and national media that's very alarming. The bill it's referring to is Senate Bill 5044, and basically it requires that the board and administrators become trained, but really it doesn't really impact our curriculum. We don't have to change anything we're currently doing. It doesn't change anything. It just requires that we are taught about diversity and equity and inclusion. So I would also like to add that if parents are concerned, first of all, I would go and look at the legislative website at the bill, Senate Bill 5044. The other thing I would encourage parents is we have a long history of allowing parents to opt their kids out of anything that they have an objection to. So keep that in mind.
Thank you, Ms. Cleary. Ms. Bird.
Hi. Okay, for Senate Bill 5044, I absolutely advocate for celebrating diversity. I absolutely advocate for equity and for inclusion. I think those are super important to teach our staff, super important to teach our children. That being said, there is a huge worry in our community about critical race theory and the trickle-down effect. If critical race theory is snuck into those diversity trainings, then it will eventually trickle down to our students as well. And I absolutely want to teach anti-racism for all. I have two sons, one that has beautiful brown skin and one that has beautiful peach skin. And I love both of my sons dearly. I absolutely will not tolerate any racism for my son, full brown skin, and I will not tolerate racism for my son with white skin either. And so critical race theory is a racist agenda. And as long as those trainings stay clear of critical race theory, then I am all for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. Now, question number 3, Ms. Cleary, it is your turn to go first. The question is, the Richland School District has been the recipient of PILT, payment in lieu of taxes money. These are federal funds that may no longer be available. What impact do you believe this could have on the Richland School District?
Oh, the loss of PILT money would be devastating to our district. And it was in the paper recently that it was taken out of the federal budget, but we have been working with a lobbyist in Washington, DC. We've worked with Senator Cantwell and Senator Murray's offices in trying to keep that money in the budget. And we are working currently to keep it in the budget so we don't lose it. But you are correct, it would devastate us.
Thank you, Ms. Cleary. Ms. Bird, you are up next.
All right. I think that it is essential that we make sure that we're using our funding appropriately, that we're budgeting and using all of our money allocated appropriately. I think, like you said, the PILT money is super important. It's super important that we use that money when it comes in and that we listen to our community on how they want that money to be spent in our schools, and that we're making sure that we're using that money wisely, as well as the tax dollars that come in, that we're not just spending it frivolously, but that we are conscious of where this money is coming from, and that we are using it as smartly as possible to truly benefit our students to the best capacity that we can, to benefit all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. Ms. Garcia.
I think that, both aspects have been mentioned, that the PILT money is really important to the way that this city operates and to our school district. And I don't have the figures at hand, but it is a substantial amount of budget money that goes into our budget. And that money goes into to our building budgets, into our money that actually works for our students directly. And so, not having that money in our budget would affect us greatly. However, I think this is a good example of where Richland has leveraged our community partnerships and our partnerships that we have with DC and with our other and with our lobbyists, in order to keep those relationships strong. And from what I have talked with the finance people at the district and with others in our community, they're fairly certain that Richland's going to be able to get that money restored. But I think it is an important part that we stop and give pause into our strategic planning and pause these questions of what if and how would we manage should further adjustments be needed. But I think we'll be getting it back, and we need to be using it as wisely as we have. And luckily, Richland is a district where our voters have given us great confidence, and we should be much grateful for passing our bonds and passing our levies. And we have a strong finance department that has kept a balanced budget in our school districts. So we just need to be keeping our eye to the future and continue to be transparent and managing those funds well.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Time now for closing statements. We'll begin with Ms. Bird.
Okay, so as I said before, my biggest thing is that I want to help these students heal. After a year of chaos, I strongly want to be a voice through to the community and back from the community down through the superintendent to our amazing admin and amazing teachers. I think teachers are our biggest resource. They're the ones that are really in the trenches doing what is necessary for our children. And I want to help those teachers have all the resources that they absolutely need to be able to care for our children. And I want to be that voice back of communication to the parents so that the parents can truly have a say to be able to help bless and teach all of the children in our district. So if you vote for me, I will work really hard to give those choices and give that voice to you as the community members to help improve our schools and to help our children heal from this hard past year and to be able to improve for lifelong successful learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. Ms. Garcia, your turn for closing statement.
Well, first of all, thank you to the League of Women Voters for the opportunity for us to gather this evening. These nonpartisan voter education events are critical to the success of our democracy, and it's an honor to participate. I think one thing we need to think about as we're choosing our elected officials is maintaining and respecting the nonpartisanship of these public positions as a way to keeping our government's local government successful. So I encourage all of our voters to do careful research on their candidates, and I would like to humbly ask for your vote as a person who can bring a background in education, strong experience working with our schools, and hands-on leadership to this district position. So I ask all our voters to remember to turn in their primary ballots on August 3rd, and I request for your support. And please, everyone, research carefully and do your American duty of voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cleary.
This has been the most tumultuous time in my 30 years of volunteering in Richland schools. The district needs experienced and decisive decision makers right now more than ever, as we stabilize following a year of constant change due to COVID. I'm confident that I'm the most qualified candidate for position 1 because of my knowledge and experience, and would appreciate your vote on August 3rd. Thank you. And thanks to the League of Women Voters too.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cleary, and to your fellow candidates. Once again, Richland School District Director number 1 position, Audra Bird, Danica Garcia, and Heather Cleary as your candidates.